Hey y'all, welcome back to Andy's Little Homestead. Today I'm at the fire station. I found something cool. If you happen to walk up those stairs, you'll find a land of dead and decaying equipment from years gone past. And I found these sweet mechanical sirens and some funny looking woo-woo lights. We're gonna put them on my truck. As a volunteer fireman, I'm allowed to run lights and sirens on my personal vehicle when I'm going to calls, not like running late for work or whatever. We're gonna see if we can make these things work. And yeah, they're old. They got fabric insulation on the wires. They're like one generation away from being mounted to a horse's ass. But they're 12 volt, they spin, they might make loud noise. Let's find out. Well, the first thing that you'll notice about these is they each only have one wire coming out of them. And electronical things need a power supply and a return, so I'm assuming that the return is the case itself and it's just gotta be grounded. I'm a little wary about just touching this wire to the battery, so we're gonna just touch this wire to the battery and see what happens. Well, I'm not sure what's gonna happen, but if it catches on fire, at least we're in the right place. Oh look, nothing's happening. Let's try the big one. Nothing. Let's take them apart. I've never taken apart a siren before, but it's already broke. Can't get more broke. All right, so after taking it apart, I kind of have a better idea. You know, looks like we got a good ground right there. And I'm pretty sure it was grounded to the case, but I just maybe didn't have a good connection. Let's try this. Nice. See if we can get the other one. All right, so here's my logic. The last one was grounded to the case or to some point at the back of the motor, kinda, and so I just, you know, put that on there, and maybe that'll work. And just the once, that's all we're getting. Well, that was freaking cool. All right, so now I got my pick of them. I could just do whichever, but I think it's pretty obvious. The right one to put on is the big one. So after putting it back together, I realized that the base itself actually comes off, which is really convenient because we got to find a spot for it. Now I have no clue what the amperage draw on this thing is. I'd imagine it's probably a good bit being an old electric motor. And I didn't do any calculations for wire size. I just got 12 gauge because it's big. But the safest way to go is to have a nice short loop that it's running through. Lots of electricity over longer distances makes more heat or something. I don't know the science, but long story short, we're putting it right here. There we go. Perfect spot for it. So now before we wire up our switch for it or anything like that, we're gonna go ahead and test it again. Because right now, this case being bolted to the frame of the truck, that's the ground, that's the return. That's how the juice gets back to the magic electricity box. So let's hook it up. All right, so we got a good connection. All right, so we got a few things that are gonna get hooked up with this. We got a 20 amp button. I think 20 amps is gonna be enough. I didn't check. A bunch of various terminals and crap like that. Some 12 gauge wire. And one thing that may be a surprise for anybody who's watched this channel for a little while, be it known that on this day, I, Andy of the Little Homestead, am putting a fuse into an electrical circuit. I know. Getting soft. So basically all we need to do is find some juice on the other side of the firewall, go to the switch, the fuse, and then out to that wire. Or maybe it's supposed to go to the fuse first and then the switch. We'll figure it out. Now I don't know much about electrical. Even these old simple fuse boxes are a little bit of a mystery to me. But what I do know There's a little tab sticking out right there. There's other stuff that's plugged into little tabs like that. And I'd be willing to bet that we could plug something into that little tab and get juice to something else. But before we just go plug in, we'll test it. So I don't know if you can see it, but I shoved my positive up in there, and then I took my ground and I stuck it to some, like a screw there, and I got nothing. There's a little thing right next to it that says LTS. So then I turn the lights on and I'm getting a reading. So apparently that circuit is only energized when the lights are on. Now that's a thing we know. So I probed around in that little spot right there, and it's reading 12 volts when the ignition is on. So that's a good spot to plug it in. All right, so traditionally, a mechanical siren button would be a button on the floor. But I don't think we're gonna go that route just for the simple fact that it's right there behind the fender. I end up getting a lot of salt and a lot of dirt and everything spray up in there. I don't want it to fail right away. At some point, somebody had drilled a hole right here, and I think that's probably a good enough spot for it. Or I can swap it out for a switch later. I don't really know. We're kind of just making this all up as we go. Now this hole isn't quite big enough, so we'll do a little bit of wallering with the drill until it fits. All right, now the moment of truth. I know I keep grinning and laughing at it, y'all, but I just love that sound. It makes me happy. We're gonna head home. When we come back tomorrow, we'll put a light on top of this bad boy. All right, so we're back and we're gonna get into the light install, but last night I went down the rabbit hole trying to figure out what the Siren was. Now the biggest name in sirens is probably from Federal Signal. That's the siren, that when you think about a siren, that's the noise that pops up. It's the Federal Q. And as it turns out, this siren is in fact a Federal, but it is pre-Q. It's a Federal WG. I still couldn't find a year on it, but I thought it was interesting and we'll share it with you. The other thing that's really interesting and actually kind of pisses me off a little bit is that there have been multiple lawsuits for hearing loss against the Federal Signal Corporation. People sued the siren manufacturer for making a siren too good. That to me is absolutely f***ing ridiculous. But in a roundabout way, it might be good marketing. A lot of these lawsuits came out in like the mid-2010s, and if you look at the stock price for Federal Signal, it's gone way up since then. So good for them for making a product that works. And obviously it works because, you know, I'm still putting it in my truck. Anyway, now we're on to the light. Now I will tell y'all, my buddy Scott actually gave me a light bar after I joined the fire department. It's a real nice setup. It's LED, and I'm very appreciative of that. I will put it on a different truck, but this truck really demands something that's a little more old school. So I found these two bubble lights. I don't know if either of them work. The one looks like it was never even installed, but we're gonna put some wires to batteries and see if they work, how well they work, and which one we're gonna put on. All right, so after tearing it apart, I think we're gonna go with the new one just because I like the way that it mounts better, but I wasn't sure how to wire it. I think I've got half an idea. This little guy was sitting inside the case. I think that's for the ground. I think that probably goes wherever this thing screws down to the top of the cab. Now I've got these two separate sections here. That one's got a red going to the motor and then another one going to the lights. This one just has two whites, so I'm gonna assume that this one's hot. Of course we're gonna test all this out, so I'm gonna make a couple pigtails and we'll start touching wires to batteries. You know, good, fun, safe stuff. All right, let's see what happens. Well, that's exactly what we were looking for. I reckon we can get it mounted up now. No, we're not gonna mount it up now. We're gonna see if we got a spot to tie it in. I think I've got one. Got some dangly wires up there. They go to one of two things. They go to the cab lights up top, or they go to this dome light. So there, we've got juice going through without the lights on. If it was for the cab lights, the lights would need to be on for me to have juice. So I know this one's hot basically all the time. So that's what we're gonna tap into. No, Andy, you should tap into its own fused circuit. Shut up, nerd. All right, she's up and in place. It's not the prettiest install. I might put a plate on there or something, but see what it looks like in the dark. All right. I got an idea on how to plate this and hide them wires. I'm not sure what the legality of this is, but I know a bunch of people who got license plates as floorboards, so I'm sure it'll be fine. That's cool, man. That's what I'm talking about. That's a proper switch housing right there. Figured I'd touch it all to see if I got zapped, so I didn't short anything out, it doesn't look like. Maybe I should put a fuse on this. Anyway, all right, y'all. She's all wrapped up. I'm super happy with it. I mean, let's be honest, a modern light bar is going to be more visible. It would be safer. I may end up putting some strobes in the headlights or something like that. You know, just something that's keeps it clean but increases visibility a little bit. I hadn't really figured it out yet, but all this stuff I was able to tactically acquire, so that's good. Nothing like putting your crimes on the internet. But y'all, that's Siren. It's just so cool. Whatever I lose in being able to be seen, I know that I'll be heard, because that thing's just freaking awesome. I couldn't be happier with it. The wiring was pretty simple. Get used to it, get it back to a good ground. Now's a good time for the disclaimer. Don't do anything that I do, because it's probably wrong. That's fine. It did work, so at least for now. As always, I hope y'all enjoyed and I hope you learned something. I love you. God bless. Yes, I did another truck video. I'm sorry, y'all. That's just what I felt like doing. I run out of truck stuff to do. Next video, I'm gonna cure a country ham, so, you know, that's basically the opposite.